Any rate, so I'll start about talking about the digital enterprise. So in short, some statements about today's technology-based business environment. So we're really kind of pitching here, and something that you guys should all understand is that we're living in a digital world where everyone is connected everywhere. We're talking about the idea economy, where the ability to turn an idea into a new product or service has really never been easier, and the right idea really is showing sort of the ability to change the world, more quickly and more effectively than ever before. And of course, ideas have always fueled business success, but the speed of execution is really more important than ever. While ideas have been the root of progress and business success, and have launched companies, created markets, and built industry, today in this hyper-connected, technology-driven world, it takes more than good ideas to be successful. So conceptually, applications are what we view as the presentation of innovation. And this is really where the rubber meets the road, and it all begins with the application. Applications have transformed our society and day-to-day lives. They're everywhere, and we use them constantly. I mean, certainly you've got bill pay, financial tracking, purchases, sort of home automation, social media, and of course, doing your work. Customer loyalty, however, is fading into the past, where consumers can easily also switch between applications and the backing business supplier with a single swipe of their finger on a mobile device. So maintaining customer loyalty is really a race to deliver new application features, to provide a better experience. So if every business has now a component of digital business and applications or digital products, what does that really mean for you? So you have to ask yourself, how quickly can I capitalize on a new idea, seize a new opportunity, or respond to competitive threats? So this is about the need for speed. So even with great ideas, of course, even all the great technology available to you, it's about that time to value. That's still your biggest enemy and your greatest opportunity. No matter what industry you're in, faster time to value is really key. Today, the difference between winning and losing is how fast you can turn those ideas into value. And when you take a look at how IT has shifted with this, years back, you had projects and new application releases that you could measure in years or months, but today it's become weeks, days, or even hours. The winners here are those companies, from startups to large enterprises, who know how to use the power of IT to quickly fuel that power of ideas. So to be successful, IT needs to operate at the speed of today's business to be an accelerator for new ideas, products, and services. So that's where technology innovation comes in, and sort of that CIO and line of business executive viewpoint. So they're at the forefront of a major transformation aimed at leveraging the competitive advantage of this new hyper-connected enterprise. The same technologies that make it easy for new companies to get started are also enabling enterprises to increase their speed, adapt quickly to changing business models, and achieve faster time to value. So instead of just providing technology to automate internal business processes, IT can now directly impact business strategy and revenues. And so what I'd like to introduce here is the concept of right mix of IT infrastructure, or for short, right mix. The right mix is not something you do once. This is really something that evolves as the business evolves. So of course, every business is constantly changing because it adapts to the cycles of expansion, contraction, and reinvention. These changes can be rapid and significant, like the purchase of a new business or perhaps the unexpected uptake on a product. So IT needs to change as well. During these cycles, the demands on IT and the mix of traditional infrastructure, private, managed, and public cloud, overall the hybrid infrastructure you see will also change. Built in the design of your hybrid infrastructure must be the ability for that mix to change easily. By changing that right mix, you also introduce a change in the balance of control and flexibility in your environment. Now, public clouds are already playing a role in a lot of organizations' transformation into hybrid infrastructure. And they're, of course, suitable for both certain types of data, things that are not particularly sensitive or in short compliance. Short-term dev test needs, cloud-native applications obviously fit there, and sometimes things where you can go off and say, hey, we don't want to make it the capital expenditure for equipment because it's something we're just looking into. So each enterprise must therefore continually assess their right mix of hybrid infrastructure based on their current, near-term, and long-term needs, and they must have the capability to change their right mix at a moment's notice. Your hybrid infrastructure should have a single management tool set that allows you to manage different types of infrastructure. Policy-based placement ensures workloads are deployed to the right infrastructure based on the needs of the workload, And hybrid infrastructure allows you to move traditional applications to the cloud and allows you to develop and deploy cloud-native applications. So really, this raises the questions around what would it look like if your infrastructure was harmonious with your business needs? So this is an imagination sort of exercise. Imagine what it would be like in a hybrid world if IT could break free from ordinary operations and really accelerate extraordinary, giving life to every great business idea. What if infrastructure could move at the speed of thought, composing technology to the needs of the business? What if infrastructure was designed with software-defined intelligence, so projects that once took weeks now took seconds? What if, instead of your hardware controlling what you could do, you controlled infrastructure as code, powering the development of more applications faster? What if your infrastructure could run all applications and optimize all service levels, really making traditional IT environments more efficient and accelerating the path for the new breed of applications in the idea economy? What if infrastructure was no longer the bottleneck to success, but the engine of value creation? And what if you could accelerate IT, enabling operations to automate, developers to innovate, and the business to deliver new experiences to new audiences? But really, what does hybrid infrastructure mean to you? I mean, we certainly talk about sort of the low-level technological components, but it is a new reality because of the control and flexibility it gives to business. I mean, you're talking about spanning from on-premise and investments there to off-premise, and also into the overall operations flow and dev flow, from build to consume, from traditional to private to managed, public cloud environments, really that future sort of focus. So HPE sort of fits into this in terms of our combination of applications, data, and workload expertise, current and new, and certainly the restructuring we're doing to sort of focus that into the enterprise, our infrastructure innovation across types of environments, our ability to define, to implement, finance, and support across the entire spectrum of a hybrid world. We have a breadth of capability of both application and infrastructure. We have an understanding of needs around stability, security, compliance, and control with the apps and infrastructure of your current environment, be able to work with a variety of things there. And us, along with our partners, and particularly like SUSE, have the experience to optimize workloads in virtualized and automated environments like no other. So according to Gartner, HPE is also #1 in private cloud specifically, pioneering the space with HP Cloud System, our cloud service automation suite. For off-premise private clouds, a number of you in this room today, we host over 3,000 private cloud clients and over 600 fully managed cloud clients. And with public cloud, we know those SaaS workloads and environments too, and with our open approach and technologies such as Helion and Eucalyptus, we can seamlessly move workloads to and back from the public cloud, putting you in control of your apps and data. So really the question you ask is how do you know which of these infrastructures is right for your particular organization? This is sort of the key point here that they're making in this deck, that it is about your right mix in sort of these 3 steps: defining, powering, and optimizing. So, I mean, they have more things in terms of plan for how their transformation can actually occur, but particularly you look for defining your expertise to really that initial identification of what you've got and where you need to go between those sort of environments, private and public, and fueling those unique apps and services that you have. Powering is really the infrastructure play pieces, evolving the IT infrastructure to a flexible, cost-optimized hybrid environment that powers all this current and future IT services. And finally, for optimization, it's about the simplification and efficiency, automation, orchestration, and really transforming how you deliver things across this hybrid environment. So these benefits, and I'll kind of reiterate this towards the end of the deck, is about rebalancing your CapEx and OpEx, being much more flexible with attacking your current mix, accelerating the development of new style of applications in IT, extending the life of the legacy apps, because that's certainly not going away, improving performance and quality, and really increasing efficiency and that sort of total cost of ownership. So let's look at these in turn. So we're going to start off with talking about how you go about defining that right mix. So back to applications. Applications are the single driving factor to determine that right mix. This graph right here is an actual representation of a customer we performed this analysis on. Here they had just exited the app simplification phase in which we had done a deep dive in the application stack to determine the most efficient and effective way to go forward with their IT. This is also very similar to HP's own journey. There was about 30% of software as a service or sort of applications that we rolled out of lifecycle, 10% of traditional that we really couldn't give up, and 60% of what we were able to move into the cloud. So the right place, of course, is with application suitability assessment. You start there, and you talk about things like, where does this, in an ideal world, going to end up optimally residing? How do you balance that control and flexibility, because you're going to have to operationalize this over time, and especially as things flex around. And probably most importantly, how can you reduce overall effort? I mean, you make more efficient optimization of that cache by understanding which applications can be scrapped or replaced with software as a service. Actually, just going through this exercise really can reduce a lot of problems, because you're doing that effort to assess your current legacy environment and figure out what makes sense. So a little bit about how you actually do that analysis and determine workload portability. So HP has been doing their transformation of IT environments for decades. From this experience and knowledge, we have about 5 steps for transformation. So you start off with discovery, and that is really that comprehensive view of the overall IT migration picture and building that base of IT migration decisions. From there, suitability. You filter out all these different options and buzzwords, and you look at the functional, the technical, the economic fits of workload for migration, and the sort of cost-benefit analysis. From there, you map out the approach and say, okay, what are the workload hybrid IT targets? What are the risks we're going to have to deal with? How do we mitigate them and manage them? The actual migration can be done obviously as a quick rollout, or perhaps this can be done in stages, even with a pay-as-you-go migration to reduce execution cost as you're getting into the new environment. And finally, of course, the enablement, where the goal is really to say, we'll have the same or improved links, SLAs, and the business case and vision has been delivered. So for this and the other two, for empowering and optimizing, we really like to sort of dig into customer cases that sort of make sense with this. So this is a large energy generator, as makes sense from the big windmill, in New Zealand called TrustPower. TrustPower is a good example of a company that has taken advantage of the data center move to transform to a hybrid infrastructure. Instead of moving everything to a new data center when they went off and said, okay, we're going to migrate headquarters, they actually decided to take that opportunity to move to hybrid cloud infrastructure. HP partnered with TrustPower to analyze the applications, to build the private cloud, and to migrate the apps to private and public cloud. So from the discovery phase, really the objective for them was say, okay, we have cloud services in financial services that we want to accelerate automated delivery for. So we did the existing infrastructure transformation with them to gain cost efficiency with this hybrid cloud environment, and worked on that migration and took a look at that. They had about 176 different applications and different vendor technology stacks. And we didn't just bring in our own technology to drive all of this, although HP Cloud Service Automation and Operations Orchestration was there, but we also, of course, worked with companies like VMware. They had Oracle Zen Hypervisor, and their public cloud choice was actually Microsoft Azure. So we did all of this and then brought OneView into the picture to sort of give them simplicity in terms of managing it. That hybrid cloud was designed flexibly so that applications could be designed to pull in or pull out to private or public clouds as needed, because they didn't want to lock in a particular location. We went off and had a co-location with another New Zealand company, Rivera, using BLDL servers, HP 3-par storage, and HP networking. So the solution was an overall hybrid cloud environment consisting of public, managed, private, and traditional infrastructures with that end-to-end service management capability. For a business outcome, they really gained that flexibility they were looking for and that centralized management. They got that control and flexibility. And that really required them to be able to take advantage of that latest technology, not just scale up their existing sort of data center and that particular sort of older strategy. So for the next thing, we're talking about power your right mix. Once there's a plan in place for your applications, the next step is really to decide on platforms to go power the applications and services. I'm not sure what these people are staring at in the rack. So while it's not always certain what will succeed next, everything that worked in the past certainly isn't going to work in the future. That's pretty clear. So ITU's role, and we keep talking about evolving, and going from just that sort of day-to-day operation to that accelerating time to business value and actually contributing to bottom line. So traditional infrastructure is optimized for stability, scalability, and performance, but not for the speed of execution. And IT is now able to support two operating environments. To do this, they have to simplify and reduce the cost of the apps which run the business. So you've got, of course, on the one hand, the traditional applications that are designed to support and automate existing business processes, collaboration, data processing and analytics, supply chain and web infrastructure. A lot of the ERP stuff, and let's say they're not going away. A new breed of applications and services that drive revenue and new customer experiences, of course, mobility, bring your own device, IoT, big data, and all this cloud stuff that's spinning up. So IT is really being stretched both ways to lower traditional operating costs while increasing new environment operational velocity. How a large customer described the situation is really a balancing act. They were saying that on the one hand, stability is really the key thing. You've got to keep those running, keep the costs down, because that's all about efficiency. And you really only update those apps once or twice a year. On the other hand, this new set of applications you're trying to make the business grow with and get more value out of, that's something that you may deliver continuously, 2 or 3 times a month, and velocity is much more important there. So you really hear that story repeated over and over again, how they're getting stretched in 2 directions, and IT wants an answer to how. That sort of right-hand and left-hand side about stability and speed of execution. So to power the right mix, that really needs to consider multiple objectives. There's about modernization. You've got to take advantage of cloud and multi-cloud environments and build platforms that really support DevOps, which of course is somewhat of a buzzword, but I think there's a core value in there in making sure those pieces of the business can work together as your environment scales. And how we believe we can help is to enable developers by providing platforms as a service environment, support a wide range of developers by supporting multiple development languages, a sort of polyglot environment. Certainly have a lot of focus around new fast-growing technologies like containers and microservices and the challenges there. And in order to speed up cultural change, perhaps managed cloud makes sense in terms of where you want to spend your capital. So it is complex, but the roles in all of this are pretty straightforward. So we start with infrastructure, which is of course the core of what HPE is known for, is platforms. And we talk to our kind of best-in-class based platforms, certainly the things that or some of the more workload-specific things that maybe you're less familiar with. What you've seen come in, we've got hyper-converged platforms focused on delivering VM vending-like qualities and simplicity of execution around that. Going forward to composable infrastructure stuff that's brought in, where this is a newer infrastructure really focused on being able to build and construct that underlying orchestration of hardware into your solution. And so the HPE Synergy and the Blade systems and OneView that's sitting on top of that. And then finally, of course, the Helion cloud system and some of the cloud platforms that really build that private cloud class of infrastructure for demanding sort of real large scale of IT services needs. So sitting on top, I talked about the management platform. We've got HPE OneView, and that's the simplified integrated end-to-end infrastructure that gives you that pane, that gives you that open source REST API, and the structure around that, tools like Chef for automation, et cetera. And OneView, really will help simplify those things. HPE Helion Cloud Suite also is our particular thing. Certainly SUSE has their own. You can bring your own from other vendors, but you've got solutions to run on top of this overall infrastructure. And then we provide information around the data fabric for integration, multiple form factors extending out to the network. So talk about another customer here, and this is one that probably a lot of you in North America are familiar with, and certainly they're worldwide. This is 20th Century Fox. They're a global leader in media and entertainment industry, and of course when you're talking today, they're about globally distributing a bunch of digital content. That's core of their business. It moves an overwhelming amount of movies and TV content. So John Herbert, the EVP and CIO, helped guide the company in its journey to the cloud. So Herbert and his team had to make the transition from Fox's proprietary IT infrastructure a standard sort of in-house servers and data centers model into a faster, more flexible hub of cloud-based digital services for the whole company. So Fox collaborated with HPE to deploy a hybrid cloud solution. It was about 90% private and 10% of a public cloud, and create the Fox Media Cloud, a digital supply chain platform as a service. So this hybrid cloud supported the collaboration and distribution of marketing materials, broadcast quality television episodes, and full-length feature films. So they have probably about over 800 broadcasters they really distribute to. The way that their model used to work is after a broadcaster in Fox Sales signed something, they'd have to go manually check inventory and see, okay, do I have the television episode or whatever that you need? If these episodes were not available, so there would be more manual effort to go ahead and manufacture an episode of the customer specification for that region, whatever equipment. And then you'd have a physical tape shipment to the customer, and often that involved clearing of customs. So today, after the licensing agreement has been signed, the entire order delivery content process is really automated using this cloud model, this cloud services and metadata. Rather than this whole tape receiving, broadcast quality files are just placed out onto the broadcaster's network for immediate broadcasting, completely bypassing customs and avoiding the shipping time and expenses. So what this hybrid cloud was able to do is solve both the distribution process, the manual effort, and vastly reducing delivery time. Fox is now moving about 1.3 exabytes of content each year while saving millions of dollars. The cloud also for them solved the evolving consumer experience, putting film and television content on smartphones and tablets from different manufacturers, different specifications, and in different languages. So a lot of that sort of localization and that ability to roll out to different platforms would have been impossible for them to spin up the infrastructure or hire to without this new model. So, whoops. Pop over here. So with an example of how a customer can power their business in hybrid infrastructure, let's talk about optimizing your right mix. So optimizing the right mix sets the path to the future by simplifying operations, speeding up workloads, lowering costs by heightening efficiency, and really enabling the rapid creation of new business models and revenue streams. IT organizations will focus on delivering effective administration of multi-cloud environments, workload migration, applications, data, users, compliance, and security with advanced management platforms, continually assessing and moving apps and workloads to optimal infrastructure platforms based on the app lifecycle, the regularity of updates, and changing compliance requirements. And of course, you really want to get to be able to broker IT services across all of this infrastructure, both within your enterprise and hopefully be able to drive to an ecosystem of partners, all with a single interface for end users and a common control point for IT. So a little more detail into this. So this goes in, automation and orchestration will really be key in this. Organizations need to realize predictable IT in their current and future environments from that legacy to that new technology. Only through automation and orchestration will enterprises be able to not only support but simplify their existing IT. Automation and orchestration sets the path to the future by simplifying operations, speeding up of workloads, and lowering costs. So with automation here, I mean, there's all kinds, but we're specifically talking about automation of tasks and processes for efficiency and sort of removing that human element as much as possible. And this is freeing people to focus on certainly more business relevant tasks. Examples would be the automated provisioning of servers, the automated testing of software code, automated application of software patches, making sure that you have that level of compliance. From there, the orchestration is really a move to a cloud-inspired IT service model to ensure continuous delivery of those service offerings. And that includes ready-to-consume development, testing, and rapid application releases, so your CI/CD chain. The end-to-end processes that directly support the business that are a focus of orchestration. A really example here would be, again, focused on applications, is taking that life cycle and making that part of that orchestration automation flow through that dev, test, staging, and production. This could be change management, this could be closed-loop incident processing, and it could be disaster recovery, and really being able to take more of the human element out of those pieces. And finally, with the transformation, I mean, this is about trying to get that new revenue out of the model. IT can fully support its services in sort of a modern way with a customer experience that is really sort of indistinguishable between external and internal. IT at this stage becomes a service provider and broker, leveraging the full power of the hybrid cloud. So really there are benefits at each of these stages, but these benefits grow really from building upon each other. And what customers talk to HPE for and how we work with them is in providing a prescriptive path forward. So this is kind of how we go through, breaking these out and the questions and considerations around it. From automation, really we look for the customer to consider, okay, what IT domains do you have? From the data center, IT service management, help desk, app delivery, and really focus on where you could save money, accelerate outcomes, and improve compliance by removing manual processes. When you talk about data center automation, this is automating that provisioning, that monitoring, the managing of traditional IT workloads. This could be, in your particular cases, the infrastructure, the middleware, the databases, and the applications with your whole full lifecycle management and governance based on that policy framework. But I mean, how much of that is truly automated today, and where can you go? IT service management, I mean, some people are still relying on a very traditional IT help desk. Can they consider automation, and how much to enable that sort of seamless end user self-service and self-discovery for common problems? And for operations automation, really trying to take some of the cost and error out of software quality processes. How much manual work or cost is even from capital investment into systems, not just the people and the process involved in testing various scenarios. When you move on to orchestration, this is really evolving for a lot of digital businesses. It's about speed, moving that cloud-inspired IT service model, and enabling that continuous delivery. You win here by accelerating continuous delivery of high-quality apps and services and synchronizing the apps and IT operations functions with common platforms and tools. And for that transform, that new sort of revenue model is about figuring out that new way of doing delivery and consumption of IT services and applications for end users. This is about providing flexibility, choice, and ease of use through modern consumer-like experiences, and on the back end, really sort of being able to have a better story around governance, SLA, management, and cost management. And service brokering is that transformation of IT orientation from just a technology resource cost center to that value generation center with that ability to broker consumption of services and that speed of execution. Finally, you've got to keep focused on that user experience management. It's not just about throwing out surveys that people aren't looking at. You have to be able to use the analytics and the tools that you've got to monitor that end user experience and improve it. So based on our breadth across the enterprise and the lessons learned, we believe, of course, that HPE can uniquely help transform IT from traditional to digital. And so we'll go into the final customer example here. And this is from EMIS Health. So they're the leader in the United Kingdom by market share in connected healthcare software and services. This company gives healthcare professionals access to the information they need to provide better, faster, and cheaper patient care. So centralizing EMIS Health Services DevOps and testing while improving scalability and agility of the IT services and reducing reliance on custom systems was kind of the key challenge here. So according to Ian Ackhurst, their hosted services director, it was really becoming similar to converged where they were at, but they had sort of a gap. They were still missing the last steps of hooking everything together to take advantage of the benefits of a heavily automated build and deployment operation. So the solution they put in place was to migrate development and testing workloads, and actually they moved forward to other workloads based on success to converged infrastructure solutions. What they chose here is to deploy 2 Hewlett-Packard Enterprise Converged System 700X systems, supported by HP OneView. So the productivity benefits that they really realized, on the DevOps side, they spent a lot less time provisioning and waiting on VMs. In this particular task, they had about a 60% speed up to deploy and an estimated close to a 40% productivity improvement aggregate for their DevOps team. They also had new opportunities on the business side. So they were able to host third-party services while more easily providing the levels of data integrity and security demanded by the customers. For them, that was hundreds of thousands of pounds of new revenue stream per year. And they could introduce additional customer-facing services they really hadn't been able to justify with a heavier workload on DevOps previously by freeing up those cycles. And so that was even more revenue generation. From the IT staff side, their 60-person team over the next 5 years, they've got this operationalized, managed about what they estimated to be a 19% productivity gain. So that came from really kind of a couple of places around pulling OneView in. You had the centralized management that replaced their distributed infrastructure and the cost there and the effort around it, but they also brought in more modern things. You have scripting in things like Chef and the templates that come from OneView, and those template-driven software and policies enabled greater reliance on automation and more efficient identification of problem areas. So the ROI that they saw in particular from kind of a bottom line, they were able to achieve discounted benefits worth about £4.5 million over 5 years versus their upfront investment of £1.65 million. And so that's about 174% ROI and a 13-month break even. So let's start wrapping up, and we'll sum up the value around transforming to a hybrid infrastructure. So we're kind of keying back to this whole define, power, and optimize message. So transforming your right mix of hybrid infrastructure, these things, the define piece again was to leverage expertise to help you identify your right mix of traditional IT, private and public cloud, to fuel the unique apps and services and needs of your enterprise. To power is to evolve your IT infrastructure to a flexible, cost-optimized hybrid environment around your current and future IT services. And optimize is to simplify your IT operations with automation and orchestration for managing, securing, and continuous delivery across your hybrid environment. And that was back to that rebalance of CapEx and OpEx, the accelerated development of the new style of applications, extending those legacy applications, improving performance and quality, increasing efficiency, and lowering cost. So a couple of partnering things here. So this is really another view in that roadmap. That first step is that transformation, the discovery and identifying suitability, and how we break that out. So you're looking to make sense of all these options and asking those questions to find the right solution for business. Now from here, I jump actually kind of to step 3, the success thing. And mapping is going to, obviously both partners have to take a look at this and say, what is that desired outcome? I have to figure that out before I can get to it. So knowing what the execution of your business should look like is more than just, of course, picking those right products and buzzwords. Maybe some of those new technologies aren't the most suitable for how you need to do business, or you can't roll them out immediately for various reasons. But once you understand what your right mix is composed of, you can close that gap and do that migration enablement and move to the execution and make that transition real. By deploying the right tools and processes with the right expertise, you'll be able to realize the cost savings and business opportunities of your right mix in a hybrid infrastructure. Now, we have to, of course, bring in another important partner in this story, because we're here, is SUSE. We're presenting here because we really believe SUSE software is a key piece in the enterprise hybrid cloud story. They have a proven track record with HP and HPE from certification to solution. Our recent announcement of SUSE as HPE's preferred Linux puts even more focus behind our partners' products here. And really, whether traditional or new style IT applications, you'll find software to help drive your transformation to your right mix of hybrid infrastructure. This conference gives you really a number of opportunities to dig deeper into the technologies we've talked about here. Certainly there's SUSE Enterprise Storage, SAP, Docker, CI/CD tools, and it's just naming a few. SUSE software with HP hardware really provides a great set of tools to enable your digital business. And then I'm going to wrap it up here with a little detail on why to choose HPE. I'm pitching this, so really why partner with us? It's about our breadth of experience. And so when you're looking over all the stuff that we've been able to do, we have expertise in matching apps and workloads, both that traditional and the new with the right IT platforms. We can help you strategize, build, migrate, and transform the workloads. We believe that we can build real infrastructure innovation because of our investment in core R&D for things like HP Synergy, our blade systems, the composable infrastructure, and our investment in private cloud. The management stack that we bring in, and you can piece parts whatever makes sense to you, really helps enable that automation and orchestration we talked about. This is across things like databases, middleware, and underlying infrastructure in the data center or cloud. We can help you with the security aspects, the building, the testing, and the brokering of applications in a cloud environment. And we're also very committed to the open your way message that you see here at this conference. We embrace hybrid all forms of cloud. We enable freedom of choice and control in terms of being able to go to business with options you bring in, even if they're not HPE. and open architectures that provide flexibility and integration with your partner ecosystem. And this includes, of course, open source initiatives, OpenStack and Cloud Foundry. The really underlying point here is that we believe we are in a great place to span the expertise that you need to bring application infrastructure on-prem to off-prem, build to consume, traditional to private, managed to public. So if you want to get started, there are opportunities to talk to us about a transformation workshop as well, or any piece. You can self-drive, you can have HP help throughout the journey. But we've worked with a lot of customers so far that have gained considerable benefit from a short interactive workshop to help come together as a team and really sort of strategize this out. And at that, I will see if anyone has any questions. I will attempt to do what I can to answer them. So is there anything here? I can go back to some place in the deck or really just talk about a particular HP product or an opportunity or challenge you're working on. No, if there's nothing in particular, I really appreciate you guys' time and sorry about the front end of this with the blank screen. Thank you.